Hi, I'm Sue from the Field Trip Academy, and I know firsthand that middle schoolers can sniff out busy work a mile away. But as a middle school educator, I want to change that. So this activity is pulled right from our membership. It's quick to prep, super hands-on, and something they'll actually want to do. So let's go take a look. Welcome to this video on how to construct a water filter. You will be learning what materials you will need both for the filter and the dirty water you use to test the filter, how to construct the layers of the filter, and how to test and analyze your results. So let me explain briefly how the different layers in your filter help clean dirty water. Gravel layers trap some of the bigger materials in your water. Different size gravel can trap different size debris. Sand can remove even smaller materials. And if you want to try, you can also add some activated charcoal. This removes unwanted chemicals which will stick to the charcoal. Finally, a layer of cotton can remove oils and liquid contaminants. Now, please know that the water filter that you are constructing is for experimental purposes only. It will not filter water to the point of being safe for drinking. Drinking water has special chemicals added to it at water treatment plants. They kill tiny bacteria and viruses that are too small to be caught by the layers of your homemade filter. Now, with all this in mind, let me now show you in detail what you need to get started. In order to have your charcoal ready to be used, you will need to actually rinse it in a sieve in the sink for several minutes in order to get all of the black discoloration out of the charcoal. Otherwise, when you filter your water, you might end up with a black kind of tinge to the water only because it's the part of the charcoal that is still on there that hasn't been washed off. Then I would let it go ahead and stay out to dry so that it's ready to go when you decide to build your filter. The basic materials you need to build your water filter include possibly a soda bottle, like a 2-liter one if you want to make a big filter, or a water bottle if you want to make a smaller one. In addition, you need some way to cut the bottom off, so you can either have a sharp knife or some scissors. And then finally, you need something that can contain the bottle at the bottom and collect the clean filtrate. So I have a container here for the bigger one and just a little glass for the smaller one. So when you want to cut off the bottom of the soda bottle, what you can do is then use your knife perhaps to get your initial incision, like that. And then insert your scissors to cut around the rest of the bottom. Once you have your basic materials, it's now time to think about what layers you might want to add to your water filter. I'm going to show you the ones that I decided on using, and I'm going from the bottom up. So my first layer that I'm going to have are cotton balls. My next layer, I decided to be a little bit fancier, and I'm going to be using charcoal. Next up, I'm going to use sand for my next layer. Then small gravel that's clean. And then my final layer is going to be larger gravel that's clean. In addition, if you have a sample that has things like grass and leaves in it because you picked it up from outside, I would suggest actually also having a layer at the very top secured by a rubber band. It's just some cheesecloth just to strain out that really large debris that you don't want clogging your filter. Now that I have my soda bottle cut, I'm going to now start adding my layers for my water filter. So first I'm going to have cotton balls. I'm really going to stuff them in there, especially so that it clogs up the very bottom neck. Then my next layer I'm going to add is charcoal. This is an optional layer, and just be sure that you've already had it washed. And then kind of going up in size now, I'm going to have sand. And I got to sort of check and see, I want to make sure that I have a good layer of that. That seems like a reasonable amount. And then I'm going to do small gravel. And then I'm going to put in some large gravel. So now when you look on the side, you can kind of see all the layers that I have for my water filter. Once you have all of your layers, you're going to now want to add the container that you want to keep it in so that it stays upright. So that's kind of the way I have it. If you look from the side, you can see it like that. And then, like I said, if for some reason your youth decides to pick something with a lot of grass and leaves and large debris, you can always add a little bit of cheesecloth at the top. If you want to, you can secure it with a rubber band, and that way you can just literally like pour the water through and then take off the debris that you have so that it's not clogging up the filter. For a younger child, you might actually just want to try a smaller bottle, like a little water bottle, and use just regular materials that they might have around the house. So I'm just going to use some more cotton balls again because I find that to be a simple layer. Just shove them down at the bottom there. And then this time I decided that I would use macaroni as my sort of smaller layer. And then marbles as my equivalent of my gravel. And there you have a much more basic filter, but kind of easy to clean up afterwards. Now I'm ready to make my quote-unquote dirty water samples. And so first I have a control, which is just regular water from the refrigerator. And then this one I'm going to add this muddy soil water that I just went out and got some potting soil. And my third one I'm going to add for fun some Crisco oil and some Worcestershire sauce, as I call it. And let's see what happens when we put these through the filter. All right, I'm going to start by using the control, which is just the regular water, and allow my filter to process that. As you can see, it's filtering into the bottom container, and so I will let it complete its filtering before I try another substance and put that into a clean container. Now I'm going to try to put in the oil and Worcestershire sauce into this and see how that goes. It's kind of fun watching it because it's got all this oil on it on the surface. And here you can see the filtered water coming out the bottom. So it seems to have actually cleaned it up quite a bit. As you can see, the original color was this brown color, so the filter works to some degree. It is now more of a yellow color, so it's not completely cleaned out, but it's a lot better than what it was originally. Now, before testing out the muddy water, I decided that I would kind of clean the rocks and the rest of the filter with some more plain water. So I'm just kind of rinsing this to kind of cleanse it before I do my next test. Okay, last but not least, I'm going to try my muddy water and see how that goes. And here's a comparison of what it looked like originally, the muddy water that was full of potting soil, and then what it looks like after it's been filtered. So it's not obviously perfectly clean, but it's a lot better than it was. So I hoped you enjoyed watching those demonstrations and that they gave you some ideas of how to get started. Be creative and have fun with your project. Thanks for watching. For more science your middle schoolers will actually enjoy without spending hours prepping, check out our free guide, Backyard Science Labs. 5 outdoor activities for teens and tweens. And if you want more field trips, citizen science, and hands-on learning like this, it's all part of the Field Trip Academy membership. So don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and share it with another educator who needs a win this week. See you next time, and happy field tripping.